I don't want it to affect me academically, and that sucks, and then it makes me feel worse, and then so it's really hard. It affects like your relationships, like your friends and family and stuff too, and so it's just kind of like a lot to deal with. But yeah, I think it's one of the hardest things I've had to deal with.
I have to microwave it, it's old. I don't need trees for that.
Well, I didn't feel like depressed until I was like 16, but I started feeling anxious when I was younger. But I didn't seek any help when I first started. I didn't, I guess, really think about it. I just felt down. I think I was just really stressed out. I don't really remember why, but like I just had like a panic attack. My heart rate was going up, and then I was like, oh my God, and then it just got faster, and I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. It was just really scary. I'd just be really emotional, and I felt like I couldn't control it. I don't know, it just felt not normal, I don't wanna feel like I'm gonna burst out crying randomly. I don't know, I just wanna feel normal. I told Skyla, like my BFFs, and my parents. Like my parents both have like depression, and my dad has like anxiety, so it's kind of like I can talk to them about it, and they're both like have like a psychology degrees and stuff, so I feel like I'm comfortable like talking about it at least somewhat, so I feel like I have a good support network behind me, so that's a good thing.
You recall the first time you told your friend Skyla?
No, I don't think like ever just said, because we're always hanging out and we live together, like she just knows when I'm down, and like, I don't know, you don't really have to like tell people, it's kind of noticeable. I feel like if you live with someone.
So before she officially told me, I could kind of tell by the way she acted, but one night we were drinking and being very honest with each other, and she was like, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm kind of depressed sometimes. And I was like, it's okay, baby. And we cried together. I think I mostly just appreciated that she would want to be so open with me, and I thought it was nice. Presley has been diagnosed with clinical depression, and some symptoms of that, I guess I could just go over the basic symptoms of that. So you kind of have a loss of interest in things, you're pretty irritable, there's excessive crying, a lot of hopelessness. I think what depression, so it goes up and down. So you can either sleep too much or sleep not at all, or you can eat too much or eat not at all. And I think with Presley, it's the latter, where she sleeps a lot and eats a lot.
Semester I started going to counseling sessions like weekly, and then I started going to group sessions as well once a week, and that's been really interesting. I like that. We're going to my group therapy session, and I just started going to this, so I'm not super familiar with everything, but basically, it's kind of really helpful to like feel validated about your own problems and kind of get other people's perspective if they're going through like a similar kind of problem, and just lets you know like you're not in it all by yourself, So, peace out. So just finished at counseling for today. My third session so far, and it was actually really cool. So even like when we talk about stuff that's not like necessarily relevant to me, I feel like I can usually reflect on it and like apply it to myself and like learn some kind of lesson that's applicable to me, kind of. And like I feel like after counseling, each time I just want to like reflect on everything I've thought about and like learn throughout the day or throughout that session, because I feel like there's a lot of topics that we discuss, and I just like to be really self-reflective. I think it's a good way to understand how you're feeling and why you're feeling a certain way. A lot of trust, intergroup like trust, just to be able to talk in it, because it's like you're talking about stuff that's personal to you, and it's probably hard for you even to talk to your friends or family about it, you know? And it kind of helps that you don't really know the people usually when you first start out, because, you know, they can't just judge you or something. But, you know, really the biggest part of that is like being able to trust each other and having like a mutual understanding and respect for each other as well, because, you know, if you don't feel respected, you're not going to be open and you're not really going to get as much out of it as you can. Therapy, we basically we had one prompt, and each week like a couple people are supposed to share about it, and the group basically like gives feedback, and you're just there to like validate other people. Like they're there to listen, you're there to listen, and, you know, respond to them and like give support, and, you know, maybe lend some like advice kind of, or like maybe you've been in a similar situation or had similar feelings, so you can just kind of like share your experience, and it's just kind of helpful to like know that other people are going through like similar stuff, or maybe not similar, but they're having a hard time too, and it's nice to like have a like support system. But the individual one, basically I just each week go and like talk to her about like, you know, at first it started out like about just like random, I didn't have any like super big problems at the time. Like it wasn't like each week I would be like, here's my new problem this week. I was just kind of like telling her about like my main problems, like why I kind of wanted to be there basically. But then so she finally, like each week she kind of got to know me better, and so now it's kind of progressed where she knows like what kind of more like my thought process kind of, and like, you know, kind of like how I think about things. And so so now it's more like sometimes I talk about like my weekly or daily problems, and so yeah, we do that, and, you know, especially like this time it's like of the year, it's really stressful because it's finals, so we've been talking about like dealing with like stress. And
I would say it's just very difficult for her to try and juggle not only her mental health responsibilities, like taking her medicine, going to therapy, individual and group therapy, and also getting to all of her classes on time, turning in all of her stuff on time. I would say it's a balance, but it's a balance that's not always even.
Skylar and I's relationship started freshman year. We didn't really like each other. We both thought we were the other one was a bitch, or seemed like one, but maybe we are, but I don't know. But we grew to like each other.
I would say one thing that you should know about clinical depression is it doesn't just go away. It's not something that you can just stop feeling, and so like I said, there's ups and downs to it. Like sometimes you're going to be okay and sometimes you're not. That roller coaster doesn't end. You either need to get therapy or on some type of medication, because it's not just like, oh, I'm feeling sad today. It's like, oh, I'm driving down the road and maybe I could just run off the road. So those are called suicidal ideations, and a lot of people with clinical depression have that, and just from talking to Presley, she's she's not, when you're clinically depressed, or at least by the DSM standards, that's how you clinically diagnose people, you only need 6 or more criterion, and she meets quite a bit more than that, but just not all the time. So it goes ups and downs. So sometimes she'll be really focused and really happy and excited about things and that's going to happen in her life, and other times she doesn't care about her future and wants to be impulsive and do things that would potentially hurt her. I think that Presley is very much struggling with her mental health, but she is reaching out. She is taking medicine. She's going to group and individual therapy. And I think if she keeps up these supports, like taking her medicine and going to therapy, and continuing to talk to people about how she feels, I think she's going to do well because she is so smart and she's really self-reflective. And I think she's gained a lot of skills from therapy, like knowing when you're upset or what your cues are, or just knowing when you're going into that depressive episode and knowing that it's okay to go into that episode. You know, I think for healthy relationships, there shouldn't be a responsibility for other people's actions, but I do feel responsible. Like when she doesn't want to get out of bed and I know she has something to do, I just walk in her room and make her get up. I'm like, Presley, you gotta do this. Like, you're gonna graduate, you're smart as shit, get to it. And I think that maybe she's not self-motivated, but me wanting her to do good, I don't know, helps her get out of bed. So my job right now, I diagnose and treat people with clinical depression, anxiety, stuff like that. And it's hard. It's tough it's just so self-depreciating. You have no self-motivation. You don't care to get up. You don't care to put clothes on. You don't care to brush your teeth. You don't care about anything that you once cared about. It's like, I think one misconception about clinical depression is like, if you just try and go to those dance classes you went to, or just keep trying to do what you're doing, that you'll be okay. But it's not. Like, you're putting yourself in the situations you used to go into with self-motivation, but without self-motivation and wanting to do the things you used to do, it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to have the same outcome.
Taking care of myself after college when I'm not having as much of a support system. You know, I've been working a lot more towards like being mindful and like meditation and stuff, and that's a big thing I think that I need to incorporate into my life or make sure that I work on more. You know, like I love doing like yoga, and I think that's good for it as well. But sometimes when I'm feeling like really depressed, I just don't even want to do that. And like, so honestly, I made a chart for myself recently, but I've only done it one time since I made that, and it's kind of sad. But yeah, I just have to make myself do stuff, you know. And I think if I get in the habit of doing that, then it'll be fine.
I would say that in this society, it's kind of, we make it to where you have to always have a smile on your face and not truly show how you feel. So I think a lot of people hide how they're feeling. And Presley does care what other people think, and I think a lot of people care what other people think, so you try to just put on your best face. She's not as much self-motivated, more as maybe motivated by letting people close to her down. So her mother, her brother, her little sister, me, my other sister, so my sister, Presley, and I are all roommates, and when we're disappointed in her, she feels it. She takes that into consideration.
I'm taking advanced cell molecular lab, anatomy and physiology, and something else. Oh yeah, environmental microbiology. And then I'm taking sports psychology. So I have like 2 labs, but one of them is really like twice the amount of work of a normal lab, at least. So it's more like 3 labs or 4.